I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, October 11, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. And this is we're meeting at Dunn Municipal Building, and this is our regular scheduled monthly meeting. I'd like to welcome each of you that are here in attendance tonight. Thank you for taking your time to come out. And as we get started, I'd like to ask if you do have cell phones with you, if you would please silence those or put them on vibrate so we won't have interruptions. I'm expecting, we're 2 council members short tonight. I'm expecting Council Member Seals to be here soon, and Council Member Frank McLean's mother passed away a few days ago, and he's not able to attend tonight. I'd like to ask the board and our guests to please keep him lifted up in your prayers. Frank's mother was named Eartha McLean, and people in the community knew her as Muff, a mother. And she was 99 years old in a couple of months, and she lived a good long life. And Frank dedicated many, many years of his life in adulthood taking care of her, and they lived side by side. So if you would, please lift him up in your prayers. And now I would like to call on the Reverend Brian Perry. And Brian is new to the community, and he's the pastor at Divine Street United Methodist Church here in Dunn. And we welcome you here tonight with us. If you would give our invocation, please.
Dear God, we thank you for the city of Dunn. As you gave wisdom to Solomon so long ago, please give it to this council as they make their decisions. We ask for peace in all parts of Dunn. These things we do pray in Christ's name.
Amen. Thank you, and welcome to Dunn. If you would, please stand, and I'll ask Councilmember Bradham to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 1 on the agenda tonight is the adjustment and approval of the meeting tonight for October 11. Are there any changes to be made to the agenda? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Tart and second by Councilmember Golden. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Items 2 through 8 are consent items, and I'll read those out for those that are listening on Facebook. Item 2 is acknowledging for the record a correction that was made last month in the minutes. Item 3 is a retirement resolution for Chief Clark A. White. Item 4 is a resolution declaring a badge and service weapon surplus and awarding that to Chief White. Item 5 is resolution declaring certain property surplus and authorizing disposition of that property. Item 6 is a Veterans Day Proclamation. Item 7 are special events permits, the temporary closing of streets for the Cotton Festival, the Dunn Shrine Ceremonial Parade, the Dunn Christmas Tree Lighting, and the Dunn Christmas Parade. And item 8 is a resolution urging a safe and courteous Halloween that will be recognized October 31st this year. I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent items.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent items. 2 through 9.
Okay. I'll have a motion by Councilmember Golden to approve the consent items and a second by Councilmember Tart. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. The motion carries on that. Item 9, the opportunity tonight to recognize a gentleman that's been with the city of Dunn for many years and served a long time as in law enforcement. And I'd like to ask Chief Clark, if you would please come to the front. Clark White. And As I'm coming down like this, Mr. Jim Schaefer to join me. Didn't recognize you, but that's just beautiful. Steve, you'd like to make a couple of comments?
Well, thank you, Mayor and Chief. I'll still call you Chief. But Clark, I just wanted to let everyone know how much I really enjoyed, our time together, working together, even before you were Chief. But, when you accepted begrudgingly the post of interim
Whereas Clark A. White retired on October 1, 2022 as a member of the Dunn Police Department, having served more than 30 years in law enforcement, with 12 and one half years of those of service to the city of Dunn. Clark began his career with the city of Dunn as a police officer 2 in April of 2012 and was quickly promoted to police officer 3 that same year. He was promoted to patrol sergeant in October of 2013 and patrol lieutenant in February of 2017. Clark was transferred to training and recruiting lieutenant in February of 2018 and worked to promote diversity in the department and encourage professional development among the officers in accordance with CALEA standards. And whereas in May of 2020, Clark was asked to take on a crucial role as interim police chief during a time of public unrest and with our country dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas Clark has proven himself to be dedicated and efficient public servant and the right professional to lead our city's police department during a time of riots, chaos, and fear across our nation. Chief White worked for peaceful solutions in our city. He has gained the admiration and respect of his fellow officers, other city staff, and residents of the city of Dunn, going above and beyond the call of duty in his roles as Dunn Police Chief to the Dunn Police Department. Whereas the mayor and this city council and the city of Dunn are desirous on behalf of themselves, the other city officials and employees, and the residents of the city of Dunn of expressing to Clark A. White their deep appreciation and gratitude for the service rendered by him to the city and this community throughout his years of service. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, William L. Moore, Mayor, City of Dunn, and this City Council offer Clark our very best wishes for success, happiness, prosperity, and good health in all your future endeavors. And for that, we thank you for your service. Clark also served as highway patrolman for many years. How many years did you serve that position? 21. 21. So he's made a long career of law enforcement, and thank you for that. Item 10, I would like to call on Mr. Newshafer to introduce some new employees.
Yes, I believe Heather has someone to start off with.
Mayor and council, this is Timmy Matthews. He's Public Utilities, Water and Sewer Superintendent. And Timmy has lived around the Littleton area all his life. After graduating from Harnett Central, Timmy spent the last 21 years around the water, sewer, and stormwater utility business. And before coming to Dunn, he worked for a private utility contractor in Fuquay. And with Timmy's knowledge and his expertise, the city is very fortunate to have him on our team. So just want to introduce him as our water and sewer superintendent.
And I believe Chief Jackson has someone to introduce as well.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is Officer Kevin Moore. Kevin started with the police department on April 1st, 2022. He began his law enforcement career over 16 years ago with the Wake County Sheriff's Office and previously worked in the Patrol Division, Judicial Services, and Crime Prevention. Officer Moore is currently assigned to our Community Enhancement Team at the Police Department. Most of his time is spent coordinating community events in the city with our local community partners that helps us develop positive relationships and build trust among those we serve. He is a local resident and enjoys his time off riding horses and watching NC State football. Officer Moore is married and has a daughter, Haley, and a son, Trent, and we are thankful to have Officer Moore on our team, and he is a tremendous asset to our agency. Welcome, Officer.
And I'd like to say on behalf of the city council and other staff members to the two new employees we have, we welcome you to Dunn. Hope your stay with us will be for many, many years. Item 11, as we move into that, is reading of Veterans Day Proclamation. I'd first like to say that we have two council members, Frank McLean, that's unable to be with us tonight, Chuck Turnage, and the city manager, all are veterans and have served this country proudly over their years of their career. Chuck has made a career out of it, and I'm not sure how many years you've served, but 24. And for that, we as a city council and members of this community would like to thank each of you for your service and your commitment to the United States. And I would like to ask Chuck if you would please read the Veterans Day Proclamation for us.
The proclamation reads, Recognition of Veterans Day 2022. Whereas Veterans Day is an annual holiday in the United States honoring military veterans and observed on November the 11th, which is the anniversary of the signing of the armistice that ended World War I. And whereas Veterans Day, we reflect upon the invaluable contributions of our country's veterans and reaffirm our commitment to provide them and their families with the support they have earned. And whereas Veterans Day, we pay tribute to the service and sacrifice of the men and women who bravely defended our freedom, answering the calls of duty and risking their lives to protect their fellow countrymen, thereby inspiring our nation with their courage and dedication. And whereas the observance of Veterans Day not only preserves the historical significance of this date, but helps focus attention on the important purpose of Veterans Day, a celebration to honor American veterans for their patriotism, love of country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Mayor, William P. Elmore Jr., does hereby proclaim November the 11th, 2022 as Veterans Day in the city of Dunn. And on behalf of the City Council and residents of Dunn and all those who call Dunn home, extend our heartfelt gratitude to our veterans and encourage our community to recognize their valor and sacrifice by showing them the honor they are due through appropriate ceremonies and by uplifting our veterans in your prayers. Given this day, this 11th of October, 2022, signed William P. Elmore Jr., Mayor, attested to by Tammy Williams, City Clerk.
Thank you, Chuck, for doing that, and again, we thank you for your service. Item 12 on the agenda gives the public an opportunity to sign in prior to the meeting to come and speak about what they might have on their mind. It is limited to 3 minutes, and we have a gentleman here that would like to speak tonight. His name is David Schaus, and David would like to speak concerning Stony Run watershed. If you would please come forward. And for our record, would you please state your name and address?
Yes, David Schaus, 1203 Haddington Drive in Cary, North Carolina, 27511. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and Councilors, for the opportunity to update you on the Stony Run Walkable Watershed Planning effort. My name is David Schaus, and I'm a volunteer with Carolina Wetlands Association. This project was previously introduced to you by other members of our team. On September the 20th, we had the privilege to listen to approximately 18 of owners and community stakeholders gathered at the Trinity Lakeshore Church for a roundtable discussion and to entertain their questions about the Stony Run Walkable Watershed planning effort. What we, the project team, heard during the roundtable included, in summary, some long-term residents remembered that this small stream was once surrounded by woodlands and supported hunting and trapping by earlier generations. The agricultural practices seen today involved multiple generations and neighbors in support of each other. Some stakeholders learned new information by listening to the stories of others in the meeting, including the significance of cemeteries and flood events. There was also a general consensus that this history should be documented and shared with current and future generations and new residents. We also heard some frustration along the lines of too much planning and not enough action, and questions about what improvements are planned, who would pay for them, and who might manage them. We believe that the natural wetland corridor on the eastern side of Dunn can, with proper stewardship, support a healthy watershed, help manage stormwater runoff from upstream land use, and provide community benefits. With a planning grant from the North Carolina Land and Water Fund, we are focused on a section of Stony Run between US 301 and I-95 in order to, 1, increase community understanding about flood reduction and enhanced ecological function that will support future growth. 2, to contemplate a healthy, trash-free stream corridor with native vegetation that can also improve water quality. 3, consider community goals of expanding public access to outdoor spaces. And 4, increase and include community involvement and understanding in the planning process. To be clear, there are not specific elements proposed for this project at this time. We're just beginning our data collection on water quantity, quality, and hydraulic modeling. Our multidisciplinary team, primarily volunteers, will look for ways to incorporate this data and the community comments into some potential concepts in the coming months. Shortly after the holiday season, we will bring back information to review in a larger stakeholder context to see what is supported and what is possible. Please visit DunnStonyRun.com for more.
Gracious.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and tonight's the first time we've used the clock, so we're practicing a little bit. And you had your comments timed just right, so thank you. Item 13 on the agenda tonight is a conditional rezoning, and we're going to be holding a public hearing on this. And the rezoning is identified as CZ-03-22, and it's for a property located at 2004 North Carolina Highway 301 North. And I would like to open a public hearing on this matter, and I'd like to call on the Dunn planner, George Adler, for your report, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This 13.4 acre parcel is currently zoned C3, highway commercial. There is an 8,700 square foot structure built in 1989, set back more than 400 feet from the road. It was formerly a venue and most recently a church. The site is within city limits and is served by city utilities, water and sewer. The sole purpose of the requested rezoning from C3 to RM CZD is to redevelop the site into a private nonprofit school. At the Planning Board meeting September 27th, the Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend approval of this rezoning. The proposed school is a structured educational program called Brookside Christian Academy. The applicant currently operates in Dunn with students from Harnett, Johnston, Sampson, and Cumberland counties. The applicant has told staff there are approximately 150 students currently enrolled. The school expects to expand in the future to as many as 400 students. Development in the surrounding area is quite sparse. The multi-acre parcels adjacent to the left and right are zoned industrial and are vacant. Impact of the proposed use to the surrounding property owners would be reasonable due to the relative distance of the site from other development in a sparsely populated area along an important gateway into the city. Brookside anticipates growing demand for K through 12 schooling. Funding for the state's Opportunity Scholarships program has increased, making more scholarships available to qualified families to send their children to private schools. This school will also serve students with special needs. The benefits of these services to the community outweigh any inconvenience to surrounding property owners that may come from an increase in traffic at different times of the day. There's been some redevelopment in the immediate vicinity in recent years along 301. Due to the size of the site, the sparse residential population, the distance from industrial activity, and the prominence of the location, this amendment permitting a private nonprofit school is warranted. It's staff's understanding that some renovations in addition to the existing structure will be needed to accommodate the new use. Additional parking will also be required. If the total disturbed area exceeds an acre, the school will need to get an approved erosion control plan. Due to this proposed change of use, the school will also need to provide an approved driveway access permit from DOT before a development permit will be issued. The future land use map adopted in June 2022 identified this area as a gateway and corridor, a character area, heavily traveled. It's a heavily traveled corridor with about 6,000 vehicles per day. Rezoning to RM CZD establishes a limit to what development can occur in this parcel, only a school. This rezoning would conform to the future land use map and plan. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any board members have questions for Mr. Adler? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak in favor or against this? Please come forward and give your name and address, please.
My name is Betsy Dean. Address is 654 Keith Hills Road in Lillington. I, along with Courtney Gordon, who's the other owner and manager of Brookside, as well as some staff members that are in our audience tonight, we thank you for considering our request for rezoning. We strongly believe that Brookside enriches the Dunn community. Courtney and I have taken our experiences from public school, what we've learned about private schools, and what we've seen done well even in homeschools, and we've combined all of those things to create a unique learning environment for students. We opened our doors for tutoring and homeschool students back in 2019, and we've enjoyed our location down the street on Broad Street since that time. In 2020, we enrolled students for full-time private school for the first time. We prayed for 35 students that year, and God sent 58 kindergartners through 8th graders that year. We adapted to COVID. We became business managers and marketing experts and all the other things that come along with running a business. That summer, 2021, we worked with over 100 students in day camps and enrolled 115 students for the following fall. And that was so many students, in fact, that we had to expand into multiple campuses. So it's been more than 2 years that we have desired a larger property. And in fact, this particular property was one that we pursued, but it was never available, always occupied, until just a few months ago. The timing was perfect. Fast forward to this school year, we currently have 155 students enrolled, and almost all our classes, K-8, are at capacity with a waiting list in some of those grades. We have students in grades K all the way through 12, and they're on 3 different campuses. And so as you can imagine, this arrangement is not the best use of our resources. We look forward to the day when everybody is all in one place on the same campus. And it's to that end that we are asking for the property at 2004 Highway 301 to be rezoned to only allow for the construction of a school. We have no interest in building apartments or anything of that sort. 13 acres is large enough to accommodate our existing student body and staff, as well as provide for expansion in the future. We envision a beautiful, state-of-the-art facility that provides spaces for outdoor learning and recreational activities. We hope to help make that 301 corridor an inviting gateway into Dunn. In addition to providing a rigorous spiritual and academic education for students, our goal at Brookside is to enrich the community around us. We teach and model for students the expectation of loving your neighbor, and we see ourselves as members of the Dunn community and want to partner with the city to further the strategic vision plan. We currently have students from 4 different counties, as Mr. Adler said, from Fayetteville to 4 Oaks, from Lillington to Newton Grove. We too see Dunn as part of the crossroads of America. We currently employ more than 35 staff members, and ultimately that number will grow to larger than 50. We have great respect for the other schools in our city and view ourselves as just an alternative for families looking outside the public school system. Enrollment is open to any student, regardless of religious background or prior educational experiences. We participate in North Carolina scholarship programs, allowing students from low-income families to attend private schools, as well as students with learning disabilities. In our lobby, we have the verse, Isaiah 54:13. It says, "All thy children shall be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of thy children." And our prayer is that we provide a place for that peace, for families to send their children to learn academic and spiritual truths. And with your approval this evening, we will have the chance to provide even more families with that opportunity. So thank you for your time and your consideration.
Thank you. Does anyone else like to speak in favor or against this zoning change? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing, and I will ask the board if there's any discussion or questions among council members.
Just one quick question, good laydown of what their plan is. What's your accreditation process?
Private schools have to be in existence for 3 years before they can even apply for accreditation, and so we are just on the cusp of that. And so once we are past that time frame, we'll take a look at a couple of different agencies that you can apply with for accreditation, and we'll pursue one of those that we think fits us best.
Good, we can help get it started.
Yeah.
Are your car riders going to back up onto 301 during morning and afternoon arrival and dismissal?
When they develop the site plan, there will be an extended driveway that extends out to the right-hand side of the property and creates a large loop. And there's existing turning lanes from the left and the right. So our plan is to avoid cars stacking up onto 301.
Any further questions?
Ms. Dean, I just want to say a great presentation, and I think it's a great thing, your motto, your vision, everything that you just presented before us, and so I do appreciate you considering, staying within the Dunn city limits.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. If there are no other questions, I'd entertain a motion to either approve or deny this request.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve CZ-03-22 to rezone the 13.49 acres at 2004 US 301 North. The pin being 1527-04-2039.000 from C3 Highway Commercial District to RM Multi-Family Dwelling District CZD to permit only the development of a private school. This conditional rezoning as presented conforms to the 2022 land use plan.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Turnage and a second by Councilmember Bradham. Any further discussion? All members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries, and thank you. We look forward to your new school on the edge of Dunn. Item 14 is an item that was advertised for a public hearing, and that was for rezoning RZ 07-22. That particular item has been withdrawn by the applicant. Is anything else that needs to be done on that?
No, sir.
Okay, so we'll move on to item 15. And I'd like to call on our city clerk to discuss a voluntary annexation with us.
Certainly, Mayor. So we have a consideration of resolution directing the clerk to investigate a voluntary annexation petition, ANX-03-22, owned by R.P. Wellens, CEOC LLC. So this is a tract that is approximately 58 acres and is out on the edge of Friendly Road and Powell Avenue. You have a map of the proposed annexation in your packet. And so this will, if you so choose to move on with this process, you'll need to adopt a resolution, which is enclosed, directing the clerk to investigate it. And then there are several steps to the process, and we'll keep you advised as to how things progress.
Okay, and as you recall, this property is the subdivision that Mr. Wellens spoke with us about recently, and our board voted to move forward with the subdivision, and now he is asking for annexation. So are there any questions for Steve on this process? Hearing none, I'd ask for a motion on this item.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a resolution detailing the clerk to investigate the voluntary annexation petition ANX-0322 as presented.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilmember Seal, second by Councilmember Galden. All in
About the redistricting. It outlines the estimated population of each of the blocks and census. It also outlines some of the thresholds that have been agreed upon by the court system, which is plus or minus 5% threshold to determine substantially equivalent populations. You have that in your packet. Our greatest variation is 3.3%, so it does not exceed the 5% variation of population and voting age population. We've sent this on to the city attorney as well to review, but at this point, we don't see a need to redistrict based on the analysis. but you're more than welcome to go any direction you choose.
Any questions for Mr. Newshafer on this report? Comments?
So this analysis has to be done after each census, and so the most recent 2020 census, and now that it's time for our elections next year, we felt it prudent to go ahead and, evaluate this and have it looked at. So if there was a need or an interest to redistrict, we would have enough time to be able to accomplish that before the filing dates.
Steve, why is there always, well, depending on what map you look at, why is there always a hole in the middle, in the eastern side of town where those sweet potato warehouses are? Some maps have that colored in and some don't. I noticed the one in our packet does not.
That's actually Hannah's Pond.
That,
Yes.
that's answered.
It is not in the city limits. Oh, well, so those fields out there as well are not in the city limits as well. Yeah, so the area that's not cut, the area that's not shaded to the left of that on the map is Hannah's Pond. Then down from there off of Wake Street is also not in the city limits.
No one lives there, right?
Well, it's not in the city limits, so
That's
there's
the
no
open space.
voters, right?
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, I'd ask for a decision to be made on this matter.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to accept the recommendation of the city done redistricting analysis confirming there to not be a need to redistrict in order to comply with the legal requirements under the Equal Protection Clause of the United States Constitution and Voting Rights Act.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Tartt, second by Councilmember Gaulden. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for that. Item 17, we will move into our reports, and I'll call on City Manager for his report.
Thank you, Mayor. I know that our office has received several calls about the signs about public hearing notice for alley closings around. We have sent out several letters to adjacent property owners as well. In the coming months, we will have a public hearing notice for any alleys that might be closed, but it is a step-by-step process that we have to go through to advertise and go through the process of closing a public right-of-way. So as the board knows, we've set aside some funds and have begun a project on the north side of Broad Street. So we've evaluated the alleys to the north of Broad Street, and any alley that did not convey 100% through the property or through the block, or that showed that it was not the entire width of 20 feet, which is a normal width for an alley, was selected to be evaluated. And that's what we're doing with this process, evaluating. We will be looking at whether or not there's a public need for the alley, whether or not it is the only access for properties, as well as utilities. If there's gas, electric, or water and sewer in any of those alleys, they may need to stay open. So it is a process we're going through. If anybody has any questions about that, you're more than welcome to call City Hall, and we'll certainly get those questions answered as quickly as we can. But there's a several-month process that we'll have to go through, and there will be advertisements about the public hearing for those alley closures. So if you have any constituents or hear of any questions, please let us know. But we do have a project ongoing, and that's what all the signs are for. It is one of those steps is to sign each of those, each end of the public alleys as well. So that's all part of the transparency that we go through in the process. Other than that, I don't have anything unless there's some questions about our monthly reports or any of the updates that are highlighted in yellow on our goals and priorities.
Any questions? Okay, moving along, then we will, I'd like to call Jim Roberts for the financial report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The September 30th bank statement showed the city has $9,540,000 in all accounts. That is a decrease of about $20,000 from last month. We haven't started receiving large amounts of tax dollars yet, so that's the next step that we'll have in balancing things out for us. On September 30th, 2021, we had $9,352,000, so we're still up by approximately $188,000 over last year. We did receive the first payments in the tax statements for the stormwater fund, which is the change that we made from individually billing with water bills to the billing on one time for the tax on our tax reports. Water and sewer revenues for the month were $595,000. In August, they were $590,000, July, $600,000. Total collected year to date is $1.786 million. That is 26.69% of budget. We are 25% through the year at this point in time for this report. Year to date in 2021 was $1.625 billion, so we're still up about $125,000 over last year. For property tax through August, we've received $257,000. Through August of 2021, we were at $260,000, so we're basically at the same point we were this time last year. The total taxes collected so far this year are $379,798, and that includes all taxes, property, motor vehicles, downtown service district. That's all our taxes added together. Sales taxes, our July receipts were $276,551. Remember, we get those about 2 months behind. The June receipts were $255,000. We are about $20,761 more than last month. I'll tell you what hit today was $269,000 for August. That is $36,000 more than the same time last year. So those numbers are still remaining high and strong. So that's an interesting thing to look at from there. All collections actually hit our bank on the 15th. The utility sales tax for the quarter, this is the second quarter, we received $154,285. For 2021, we received $144,000. So it's about $10,000 less than this time last year. So we have more money in this time. So next time we'll get that is, in November. So November will be the next receipts of that. So we're right on track where we had budgeted for that. Building permits for the month of September, $7,861. That's down August where they were $9,435. To date, we collected $28,210. That's only 19% of budget. So our building permits have slowed, but that's normal for what's happening across the nation. So don't think that's anything strange for us. General fund expenditures for September were $850,199. That's down August when they were over $1 million. Total expense to date is $3,191,000, and that's 24.11% of our budget. Total budget, if you'll remember, is $13,235,000. Okay, our revenue today is $1,967,000. So that's why we need our tax dollars to come in to balance what our expenditures are for this time. So it's a little bit slow. Water and sewer fund expenditures for September were $600,908. That's up from where they were in August, where they were at $527,000. Total expense today is $2,043,000, or 25.86% of budget. And then for the 2021, we had expensed $1,379,000, so we're up significantly from last year. And water sewer revenues to date are only $1,853,978. So we've got some major expenses that have gone out in water and sewer, but that'll balance out in the next couple of months. Stormwater fund expenditures for September were $90,100. Total expense to date is $93,000. The stormwater fund budget is at $2,900,000, so we're at 32.7% of budget. Total revenues to date are just $14,141, but that's going to come up as the time comes by, because that is collected with the taxes and reported only once a month. The debt service payments for the general fund, we had $56,952 in September. That is $480,706. That is 40.97% of our total debt payments. So that's a significant part of our just have come due in the first 3 months of the year. So we have that, and then debt service payments for the water and sewer in September were $166,321. Total for the year is $166,321. So that's 12.39%. So those are going to come out. The total budget for water and sewer debt payments is $1.342 million. And Mr. Mayor, that's our financial report for the month.
Thank you, Jim. Any questions for Jim on this report? Item 18 is announcements that I need to make. City Hall will turn pink every evening beginning Monday to promote breast cancer awareness in the city of Dunn throughout the rest of the month of October. One-stop voting for this year's general election begins October 20th and runs through November 5th. Trick-or-treat times will be observed in the city limits of Dunn on Monday, October 31, from 5 p.m. until 8 for those that choose to participate. The 22nd Annual Cotton Festival is set for Saturday, November 5th at 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. in the downtown Dunn area, and we're glad to welcome that event back. The general election will be held on Tuesday, November 8th at 6:30 a.m. in the 6:30 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. City of Dunn offices will be closed on Friday, November 11th, in honor of our Veterans Day. And in conjunction with Harnett County, the City of Dunn will support Operation Green Light by illuminating City Hall green in honor of our American veterans, November 1st through November 14th. The City of Dunn is proud to host the Sudan Shriners Fall Ceremony this year. That will be held November 18th and 19th, which includes the all-time entertaining Shriners Parade on Saturday, November 19th at 11:30 a.m. And I would suggest to those that are present here or listening on the airwaves that if you've not attended a Shriners Parade, they're very entertaining, and I would ask you to come out and see that. And that will be held in downtown Dunn. Next regular council meeting for the City of Dunn is scheduled for Tuesday, November 15th at 6:30 p.m. That's all of our announcements. Any board members have comments or anything you'd like to make before we move on? Okay. That item 20 is gives us the opportunity to consult with our attorney, and I would open the floor in a private session. I'd open the floor for a motion on that matter.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to go into closed session to consider and give instructions regarding a potential administrative or judicial action.
Second.
Motion was by Councilmember Turnage, second by Councilmember Bradham. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you all that attended our meeting tonight, and welcome back at any time.